Hi there, everyone. It's Linda here from Just For Tummies, and welcome to tonight's video. Happiness Unleashed, unveiling the power of positive living with my guest, Rosalyn Palmer, or Ros, as we like to call her. Now, some of you may already know Ros from previous very popular videos that we've done together. So I'm going to introduce Ros. Let her join the video, and then she can tell us a little bit about herself, a potted history, and because there's always lots to tell.
Oh, yeah. How potted can we get?
Very potted, Ros, because I know you can talk at great length about about your life, your highs and your lows. But if anyone wants to know any more about you, of course, they can head over to your website, rosalynpalmer.com. But anyway, nice to see you, Ros.
You too, Linda. I like that pink. You're looking lovely.
Thank you. Do you know, I was looking through my mum's wardrobe the other day, and I thought, oh, quite like that. And I have never seen my mum wear this. It's a cardigan from Marks and Spencer's. And I thought, oh, I'm going to nab that.
It's lovely. It's really vibrant at this rather dull time of the year.
Oh, I know.
Slightly nice to see you nice behind you.
Yes,
That's already made me happy. That's already made me happy.
Well, you look very colour coordinated, Ros. You look very nice. Yes, lovely outfit.
What can you do?
Is that top, that knitted top from Marks and Spencer's?
No, it's from Woolovers, which
Yes.
They have really lovely jumpers, and it's really, really proper, really lovely wool.
Yes.
And it's like a long tabard, but obviously sleeveless. But then you can rock whatever shirt you want to get out, Linda. So
well, the reason I ask is I've got one in grey, but I got mine from Marks and Spencer's, and I love the sleeveless ones because I don't always want. In fact, this is irritating me now. It's just too much.
It's actually really nice because this is a relatively thin shirt I'm wearing, but it's just right. Anyway, yeah. So that less about me.
Yes. So no, more about you, Ros. More about you. So come on.
Okay. So, Linda, I'm a transformational therapist and coach. I have certificates on my wall. I'm trained in a bunch of things. I'm trained in rapid transformational therapy, which is a really phenomenal therapy, award-winning therapy, and says what it does on the tin. It creates rapid transformation. It combines the best of, or probably the most effective modalities of, clinical hypnotherapy, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and some psychotherapy. So what it offers is that deep dive that clinical hypnotherapy offers, because I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, with the parts therapy, what are the parts that are showing up? What's the secondary gain that you're getting from this behavior? Why is that happening? How is that affecting you now? And really, if you're not in a great place, that's all you really want to know, isn't it? To be honest, why can't I get out of this loop? Why can't I think myself out of this loop? Why can't I, well, we've been there. Why can't I Botox myself out of this loop? Why can't I holiday myself out of this loop? Why can't I distract myself out of this loop? And you can't. You have to go through it. And it's a very, very powerful and effective combo of therapies to create one master therapy, if you like, that helps people with a practitioner to go through it. So that's my day job, along with being a coach, because guess what happens? You go through that and you're like, yay, great. We finally got rid of those roadblocks and that repetitive behavior and that Groundhog Day, horrible feelings and behaviors. Now what? Where do I go? The clouds have lifted from the mountain. How do I make my way up the rest of the path? And so it makes complete sense, and it made complete sense to me because I qualified in RTT about 8 years ago, and about 7 years ago, people were saying to me, well, yeah, now the blockages are removed, could you help guide me a bit further? So then I do coaching as well. So it's really all about transformation. It's about taking you from where you don't want to be, doing things you don't want to do, thinking things you don't want to think, feeling things you don't want to feel, to a place that, to be honest, if you're in that place, you can't even envisage. You can't, you know, it's there, but you're like, oh my God, having a conversation with somebody who's in that place would be like having a conversation with somebody who's climbing a mountain and there's a layer of low cloud.
Yeah.
And you say to them, so what does the top of the mountain look like? And they're going to go, well, I have no idea, because there's a load of cloud and I've got no idea. And I've been down here for so long in the foothills, I can't see it. And so I'm very good at that as well, because I think it's all very well and good, you know, there's all this free and, you know, whatever advice that you can go, Joy, just get some goals, just focus on whatever, you know. It's like, I don't know, because that layer of cloud, I've been there for so long, I can't even see beyond it. So
but Ros, you have an awful lot of lived experience as well. And I was just thinking, you know, with rapid transformational therapy, and to be a good, effective RTT practitioner, I think you need to have, you know, lived those experiences to be able to help other people, surely.
yeah, I mean, I see this debate, you know, in some of the private groups I belong to for therapists, you know, and you know, and coaches. And of course, there's 50-50. There's an argument of, I don't need to have done that or seen that or been there to know how to effectively, you know, help somebody to go there. And probably I would cite as that I have a lot of success with erectile dysfunction. So yes.
Okay.
So, you know, because I've been trained in it, but it really is about the feelings and the things that are stopping them. So I've had a lot of training in feeling crap and in being in bad places, and my body letting me down and my mind letting me down, and being somewhere that I didn't really know why I shouldn't get out of it. Not even how, but why. Because, you know, I'm an A-list type person. I'm doing really well. I've got all my other ducks in a line, but not me, not my health, not my relationship, not that thing. And so I do think that is the X factor. I do think the fact that you can compassionately relate to people. I do think the fact that you've walked in their shoes, even though, you know, clearly I've never had erectile dysfunction, but I have had times of going, why is my body letting me down? Why is my body not doing what I want my body to do? You know, when I had the cancer, when I've had other things, when I was bulimic for a long time, you know, why can't I'm smart and I'm very self-aware and I've read 900 self-help books. Why can't I think myself out of this? Why can't I think I'm clever? Why can't I think myself out of this? And yes, I have been there. So I do genuinely think that is an X factor in what I bring and what I do, because
I think so too.
it's that lived experience, and it's that frustration, and it's that finding how to navigate through it really gives me that probably extra, you know, that extra element.
Yes. So tonight we're going to be talking about happiness and how to achieve happiness. Well, being happy all the time is just not it's not possible. It's not sustainable, is it?
No,
Surely.
I don't think we're designed to be either. So I think we need to dispel that myth straight away. So I think, like so many things in life, you know, with the social media, you know, it's all about me, and look how perfect I am, because I took
Look how gorgeous I am.
27 selfies and then I edited one and it kind of looks okay. And here's me posting because I'm having the best time ever, because I'm in Greece and it's all lovely, and you're having a really crappy day in Basingstoke and it's raining and you've got to pay a bill and your child's just been sick on the carpet. It's an unreal, you know, unreal place that's shown as a reality. And unfortunately, more and more and more, we live in that world where things that are held in front of us as being normal and real and sustainable just are not.
No.
And so I think happiness is one of them. Okay, I think that's a really good place to start, because I don't actually think our default setting as human beings is to be happy all the time.
It's impossible.
No, I think there are, it's like I did an English literature degree, okay, and I was really into the metaphysical poets, which is like Keats and
Mm,
Shelley. Oh no, actually, it's not Shelley, it's Keats and well, Shakespeare, all those areas, and Byron, etc. And the whole principle of the metaphysical poets, which is why it shifted in poetry and writing at that time, was that there's enormous highs and there's enormous lows. And actually, you can't feel the lows if you've never had a high. You can't feel the high if you've never had a low.
mm,
And that, we kind of go like that. I think the trick is, not to be there.
mm,
It's not to do that because it
mm,
can just feel super scary. But I
mm.
think we have to understand that there is a sort of a landscape that undulates. And so it's about not feeling unhappy because you're not happy.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yes, it does. So, what are the conceptualizations of happiness? What does that even mean, Ross?
Well, yes, again, I think it's that happy picture of everything in the garden is completely rosy and everything is
Mm,
perfect. And, isn't my life perfect? And, perfection is a myth. Perfection is an unattainable quality. It's like a finish line that whenever you get near it, just goes back. And so I was a perfectionist. I'm a recovered perfectionist, Linda, you'll be glad to know. But, I was a perfectionist for years, and it makes for probably very good employees and, very good partners in some way, because you're never going to let anybody down or anything down. But, it's a very quick road to burnout and complete depression and unhappiness and, lots of very unsustainable things. So,
yes,
uh,
I've been there. Got that T-shirt too.
yeah, and I think a lot of us have, and I think a lot of people probably listening now. And God, I feel for you, I really do. You are probably caught on the do more to get more hamster wheel. I must do more to get more, or I must do more to be more, and I
Mm,
must be perfect to never let anybody down. And of course, traditionally, that was even more burdensome on women.
mm,
Because it was like, I have to be a good wife, I have to be a good mother, I need to be good at my job. And increasingly, as because we're the squeezed middle, I've got to take care of my parents,
mm, mm.
give, expectation,
Yeah.
expectation. And I'm not saying to people be horrible people, but I'm just saying, where do you fit into all of that?
Mm, mm. Okay, so can you detail the Happy Life 5-point checklist then, and its core principles for living a happier and more fulfilled life? Because we can't necessarily be happy all the time, but I think we can certainly be fulfilled, if not all the time, most of the time.
Yes, exactly. And here's the spoiler alert already so early into the talk. Bye, everybody who's leaving, if you waited for this bit, where Linda and I aren't those clever people who keep the hook right to the end, keep you watching for an hour and then we give you the hook. We're gonna throw it out there right now. So a lot of studies quite recently, and I think our entire conversation was prompted by me having read one, actually, Linda, is that the pursuit of happiness and the sustainability of this nirvana of happiness is unsustainable. And in fact, what does happiness mean to people? And what the people who've done research have really found is it actually equals fulfillment.
Mm,
And so to live a happy life and to be a happy person, you need to be a fulfilled person. You need fulfillment. And that is probably the number one thing. But really, how do you get fulfillment then? So, number one is you've got to know yourself and you've got to know your values. You've got to know your values. Okay.
mm,
And as somebody who's had 2 divorces, the biggest hot foot way to get to the divorce course is when you are in a relationship with somebody and you have a values mismatch.
yes.
100%, because
That makes sense.
passion,
Yeah.
passion will hold you together for a while, the love, all those things, maybe the kids, all the whole 9 yards will hold you together for a while. But the glue that truly glues and holds you together is shared values, okay? And when you don't have them, there is a mismatch, and that cavern starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so know yourself, true to thyself be thou, as people say. So, you know, what are my values? What are my values? What do I truly value? What are my non-negotiables? What's my non-negotiable? You know, I'm a vegan. I'm going to marry somebody. I love them. I'm so happy there, but they're complete carnivore. You know, is that a variable for me? You know, I really like my vegan lifestyle, but I can respect the fact that, you know, they're a really lovely person and they're doing it because that's their choice. And, you know, they're still super kind to animals and small children. So they're not a terrible person. So as long as your values match, I think that's really important. So but of course you've got to know your own. And the trouble with a lot of our values is they're what I like to call rules, which is BS. I'm allowed to swear? Bullshit rules. Edit appropriately, Linda. Because they're things that we've never really questioned. You know, they are things we've inherited. They're prejudices and biases that we grew up with because of our culture, because of our family, because, like, you know, our family values hard work over, you know, whatever. Great. And, you know, it's a very worthy value, but it's your value. Okay. Our family, you know, and there's all sorts of other things. So question your values or your BS rules, if you like, and work out what works for you, and then really genuinely ring fence those. And I think knowing your values and yourself, if you do nothing else, that's going to actually lead to you being a lot more fulfilled and a lot more happy.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because, like you say, you've been divorced twice, haven't you? And but I think your first marriage, I think you kind of had the same values, didn't you, Ross?
We did. I mean, that lasted, you know, 18 years.
Yeah.
And yes, I think we did have the same values. I think in that respect, and, you know, I don't talk about them very often, but, you know, I'm happy to be transparent. I think too many external things happened, and the kind of elastic that held us together fundamentally broke down. But I would say that maybe it was to do with a value that when it started to break down, he didn't really admit to me that it was all going pear-shaped. Because I was having cancer treatment, a whole bunch of things were happening. But fundamentally, what that meant to me was when I found out, I felt betrayed, and being betrayed and being honest was one of my fundamental values.
So the trust goes, doesn't it? Then
trust went, yeah.
Okay, right. So overthinking, that's a common challenge many people face.
Oh, I'm only on point 2, by the way, Linda.
Sorry?
That was only point 1 of the 5-point values.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. We'll go back. I'll be quick. She's taking too long. What's the time? I'm sorry, everybody.
No, it's fascinating.
Linda wasn't wrong when she opened with saying we could talk forever. Gratitude and positivity. So that's number 2. Okay. So number
1. Sorry. So number 1 is know your values.
Know yourself and your values. Number 2, practice gratitude and positivity. And by positivity, I don't mean, you know, so Tony Robbins says it beautifully. He says you can't go out and look at your garden full of weeds and go, oh, my garden has no weeds, look at all the flowers. He went, that's delusional thinking, not positive thinking. Okay. Positive thinking is, oh, some good hard work in this garden and a couple of days, and then some lovely seeds from the garden shop could transform this within 3 months. That's positive thinking, because you're being realistic about it. So, and I actually am a big advocate of don't do toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is as damaging as being completely miserable, really. You know, that whole I'm always going to put a happy smiling face on it. Oh, everything's fine, you know. No, it's not.
You kind of just, well, you're not being true to yourself. You're just lying to yourself, aren't you, really?
Go back to value number 1. Value number 1, yeah. But gratitude is a brilliant thing. So if you're having a really low day, and we all get them. You know, I've had days I've woken up, I was like, it's raining, you're having a horrible day, you've got a busy day, you know, the heating's broken or something else has gone wrong. You know, actually, literally just getting yourself a cup of tea, getting yourself a nice warm jumper and going, I am grateful for the following 5 or 10 things
Yes.
is a game changer. You know, that daily gratitude, just even 3 things. You know, I'm grateful for that person in my life. I'm grateful for my health. I am grateful that I live in a country that I live in. You know, we're so, as you know, I worked for an international charity and I've been to and met some of the poorest and most marginalized people in the world suffering from leprosy, who literally live under tarpaulin with 1 cup to their name, under a 3-lane, you know, highway, and that's it. Look at the, and there's a great saying as well, your nightmare is somebody else's dream. You know, when you're stuck in the traffic going, oh my God, this traffic's so terrible, I can't believe it. It's like, aren't you lucky you're in a car? Aren't you lucky that you get to do this? Other people dream of having a car or passing their test. You know, oh my God, my kids are driving me mad. You know, you're on your 3rd go of IVF at 10,000 pounds a pop.
I know.
You know,
Yes.
you would give one of your limbs to have a child. I mean, literally. So I think gratitude and positivity, but in a good way. Building meaningful relationships, that's number 3, Linda.
Yes.
So it's your tribe. Okay, as you know, I'm a great advocate of friends and family, and both you and I are friends and have lovely friends and lovely family, but not everybody does. You know, some people's family really, maybe we're never going to go there. Okay. But you can certainly create your tribe, and you know, all of those great books on you become the sum total of the people you spend most of the time with, or certainly the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose wisely. You know, if you're feeling down all the time, if you're breaking every resolution, every effort you get to be better and do better, perhaps you're really surrounding yourself with people with very low values who really almost don't want you to succeed, you know, because if you do, they're going to feel bad about themselves. So you need to get, you know, it's why things like Weight Watchers work so well, because you're in a peer group where you're all supporting each other. You're all picking each other up and you're all, you know, going, yeah, I know you had a bad week because you gave in on Thursday and you know, secretly ate a bun and but we're all human, and then you feel better about yourself. So it's really important to build meaningful relationships, because human beings are meant to be connected, as you know, Linda. It's one of my very strong feelings about isolating people for any reason, shape or form. It's really not very good for us. It's not very good for our mental health or our physical health. Number 4, passion and purpose. Again, what really excites you? What excites you? And sometimes people are so far removed from it because they've been worn down for so long. Try and remember what excited you when you were 5. What did you dream of being? What did you want to be? What would you do if tomorrow I gave you £1 million? What would you do if you didn't have to go to work every day or do all the things you have to do? Do some of it now. Do some little sprinkles of it now. I had a client and she was going to go on a big holiday because she used to work and work and work and work and work and then have a holiday. And then lockdown came and she just did work and work and work and work and work. And I can't go on my holiday. Because she couldn't go. And she was getting really, you know, not in a good place. And I said, well, what do you love about your holiday? Oh, I love the fact that I have a lie-in. I love the fact I read books. I love the fact that we pootle around a local market. I love the fact that my husband and I have lunch together. I went, do it at home. Like, take a week off, do it at home. And she did. And obviously, you know, being at home in England in the rain wasn't quite the same as going to, you know, wherever she normally went. But she actually said she really felt the benefits of it. So do what you love. And then mindfulness, so being in the moment. Again, that's very much like the gratitude thing. I've really learned to be in the moment. The ways I got into really being in the moment, and it's going to sound a bit weird, is brushing your teeth. So like when you brush your teeth, instead of like, you know, actually really take the time to do it. And really, while you're doing it, you know, think about what you've been grateful for that day or what you're going to be grateful for tomorrow.
It's
in the
funny you should say that, you know, Ross, about brushing teeth, because for many, many years, my dentist has been trying to get me to use an electric toothbrush.
I
Um,
do. I swear by.
I never have. I never have. In fact, although I've never smoked in my life, I've always used a smoker's toothbrush, much to the horror of my dental hygienist and dentist. But uh, it's just what I've always done. But I think about a year ago, I thought, oh, okay, I'm fed up of being nagged. You know, I will try an electric toothbrush. And with an electric toothbrush, you don't have to do that, do you? You just hold
No,
it like
and also
that. And
it kind of changes. So it does like a minute, and then
yeah,
it changes the vibration. So you do a minute on kind of one bit, and then a minute on another bit, and then a minute on another bit, and a minute on another bit. So you do 4 minutes, and you get
that's
your whole
right.
mouth.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you've got 3, 4 minutes where you're just standing there, you know, while this electric toothbrush is brushing your teeth. So, and I find that when I'm brushing my teeth with an electric toothbrush, you know, I can, it calms me down. I'm not
Me
really,
too, and that's why I'm saying it. I actually think seriously, you've just agreed to what I was saying. It was a game changer for me. It's
yeah,
like being in the shower, just taking that time, not everything being, you know, but taking that time. I
mm,
was peeling potatoes. I was peeling potatoes on
yeah,
Sunday. And
yeah.
I'm blessed. I've got a lovely kitchen. I've got a beautiful view out of my kitchen onto the paddock, you know, and I'm looking at my sheep and my turkeys and my chickens, but you forget. And so in that moment when I was peeling potatoes, instead of doing the thing, I thought I'm going to mindfully peel potatoes. I put some really nice music on, and I stood there and I just sort of looked out. I was thankful for what I had. I listened to the lovely music, and the whole task became actually quite lovely. I know it sounds weird, but it became quite lovely.
No, I totally get where you're coming from. And yes, you have got a beautiful kitchen, a beautiful outlook. It looks at your small holding with your animals, but you've not always had that,
No,
Ros. And
I genuinely
you
have.
have manifested that.
I have 100%, Linda.
Yes.
I have come through the rented, not very nice house with a brick wall out the back.
Mm.
And I get that, so not everybody can look out to a lovely view. Again, let me cite a beautiful example here. Again, in lockdown, I joined a group on Facebook, and it was called The View from My Back Window or Backyard. I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
told you about it. It's actually, I think it's still going, and it's actually really lovely. And so at a time when everybody was really like contained in their house, people on this group were just showing pictures out of their back, and some of them were just unbelievable. People living in Montana and people living overlooking the sea. I had my sheep and everything. And then one week this woman literally posted a picture of a brick wall, and she
Oh,
said, this group is actually making me feel more depressed because there's all of you and you've all got that lovely view, and this is what I look out onto. And it was the biggest response to any post I ever saw, ever. And
mhm.
everybody went in and went, go within, or know we're here,
Yeah,
or count your blessings,
yeah.
or, like just put beautiful music on. And
Was it her brick wall that she was looking at, or someone else's?
I don't know, but it wasn't a great view, compared to the like award-winning views. It was definitely,
No,
she
I'm
just.
just thinking, if it was her brick wall, then I'd paint it. I'd get someone to
There
paint
were
it.
all these amazing suggestions, and I have to say, it was really. She actually came back and said that it changed her life, because
Yes,
she
yes.
never knew there were so many kind and compassionate people, and
And
she'd
I
been a
bet,
bit jealous. She'd been a bit jealous of all these lovely views, and
yeah,
actually after that, she felt really supported by everybody.
yes, and I bet some of the people who had those gorgeous views, Rose, after lockdown, invited her to
I
share their gorgeous
They
view.
probably did. And again, look, Linda, there's a great cartoon that goes round. I only saw it again yesterday. It goes round all the time. And it's Life is About Perspective. And it shows two prisoners sharing a cell. And they've got, the bars, and then actually quite a nice view. And they've both got an easel. And one's painted the view and one's painted the bars.
yeah, Yeah.
So I think that mindfulness, that being grateful, that being aware of what you have, is really important. And you're right, Linda, I haven't always had it all going, my way. But I always had a sense of, I'd look out and maybe just see a robin and I'd go, God, I love robins. And I love get a really lovely mug and I'm having a lovely cup of tea. And, again, going back to those people who have nothing, I'm sure if you were to transport them like, Star Trek into most of our kitchens or lives and go, here, make yourself something to eat and look out and listen to this music, they would think they were in heaven.
But then going back to what you said a while ago, what you see on social media is not always the true picture.
No, how many people go on social media and going, I'm having the worst day ever. Here's me with no makeup and spots looking like crap, and here's me in a backed up car delay in the rain. No, they tend to post pictures of, here's me in Marbella or here's me, it is very edited and it's lovely. And, and I'm not as big an enemy of social media as I used to be, because I think you have to then think that everybody is on some horrible agenda, and I don't genuinely think people are. I think most people are actually genuinely nice and trying to do their best, but they're just editing themselves to try and make it all look better. So we're all living a bit of a lie, really.
Right, well, that's great. So your five checklists then, 5-point checklist: values, gratitude, connect with your tribe, passion and purpose, and mindfulness.
Yes, and self-compassion.
And self-compassion.
So don't beat yourself up too much.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So did we cover this one? Yeah. Oh yeah. Have we covered this? You mentioned in the checklist that happiness is a product of living a fulfilling life. Oh yes. So the difference between happiness. Yeah. So we've covered that, Ros.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Right, so on to, I just want to say to everyone, thanks for joining Ros and me this evening, where Ros is a rapid transformational therapist, and we are talking about happiness and is it achievable? Well, I think it is some of the time, but it's not achievable all of the time. So we're just looking at ways where we can, I was going to say be happy, but living a fulfilled life. Yeah.
The right level of happiness for us and know that it's within our control. How about that?
Yes. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. So, overthinking. Yeah. So that's a common challenge that many people face. So how does overthinking affect our ability to lead a happy and fulfilling life? And why is it crucial to address this issue? And what can we do to stop it?
Okay, so first of all, let's know why we have it. Okay, so we have it because it's evolutionary. So again, studies have shown that particularly our, ancestors, Ugg, the caveman, out there going, oh, I'm on the plane and I'm off to get some food. They had to constantly be evaluating for threats. And the way I always like to think of this is, because I'm a bit of a sci-fi fan, is Terminator. If you remember the Terminator movies, when he's looking for the humans and they kind of go, and they do this thing, and it
Love those films, yes.
the humans, and then particularly if the humans called Sarah Connor, they've got no hope. That's their threat as far as the AI are concerned. Sarah Connor and the humans are their threat, and they're on like this constant alert. Well, we are too. Yeah. Okay. And so an evolutionary way that means we're alive, because if you think about it, Linda, every single person alive today is alive today because all of our ancestors came through.
Yeah, okay. They survived.
Despite the odds, and they were massive odds. Yeah. We are wonders of everything, all of us, every single person alive, because the odds stacked against our lineage and our ancestors all the way down the line, they were maybe the 1 in 10 or the 1 in 100, the one who came through. And so evolutionary, we have to be on constant alert, and that leads to overthinking because we're kind of over alert. Neurobiologically,
Mhm.
The prefrontal cortex within our brain is that part that alert is going into, and that's also the part that's to do with our decision making and thinking. So that being alert is constantly, kind of churning over our thinking, if you like. We also have other pressures which are more modern and more societal, and that's things like fear of failure, which leads to perfectionism. So I've got to always get it right. I mustn't get fired. I mustn't let my family down. I mustn't fail. I mustn't, screw up. I must be brilliant. I must be perfect. And again, that keeps you in that state of kind of hyper, vigilance. And also then rumination. Again, that is evolutionary. So it's like I'm ruminating about it because my mind's making sense of it. Because again, all it's trying to do is keep me safe. That thing happened. Let me think about that. Let me create a new pattern to deal with that. So we are anthropologically wired to overthink. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was before we lived in the worlds we lived in
To
today.
keep us safe. To keep
Yeah.
us safe.
Yeah, to keep us safe, to keep us alive, to make us survive.
Mm.
But of course, even even in my grandmother's day, even 100 years ago or whatever, we didn't have all the bombardment of everything we have today. We weren't looking at our phones. We didn't have constant stimulation with TV and I'm in a car, and it's just 24/7 now, the world we live in. Whereas our grandparents, if you wanted to get hold of somebody, you maybe wrote them a letter. And then you got it 2 days later and went, hello, I'd like to come and have a holiday with you.
And that's not too long ago, really. Well, like you, I remember a time when we didn't have the internet, we didn't have mobile phones. I remember when I was living at home with my parents, we had the phone installed, and it was a party line. So sometimes when you put the receiver up, you could hear your neighbour talking.
And even when you didn't have a party line, you had one like we did, but your mum was so worried about the bill that 5 minutes into your calls, you got the Hoover out. That's what used to happen at my house. She'd start hoovering around you, and you'd be like, I can't hear. I was at university, and I used to have to go to the phone box on the corner to ring my parents, with calls.
What do you mean the Hoover out? The Hoover out. My mum had a Bex Bissell. Not the Hoover.
We're showing our age, but we
Yeah,
don't.
we are. We
We
are.
don't care. We
But
don't care.
there's
So we are okay. So look, we are anthropologically designed to overthink, and now we are in a constantly stimulated environment, which exacerbates that natural evolutionary wiring to overthink. And so we've got all that against us. Okay, so actually, overthinking is almost our default, to be honest. So of course, we're kind of very predisposed to it. And then why do we stay in it? Because again, we worry, we're worried about the future. We're worried about, we've been living in very uncertain times, so it's like things that we used to think were certain and we could take for granted are pretty much all gone out the window. Okay. So
true.
we're worried. Yeah, very true. We're worried about the future. Social interactions, again, with all that pressure for it all to be great and everybody else is having a great time and I've got to be the best person ever. Criticism. And you know that we have a negativity bias where as we grow up and throughout life, we hear 5 times the amount of no's and bad things that we do good things. So children hear the word no pretty much 5 times to every 1 time that they hear yes or don't go near the fire, don't go near the don't blah blah blah, which of course we do to try and keep them safe. Again, more scary world, but actually you create this negativity bias. And again, we're naturally predisposed to the negativity bias because Ugg, our caveman ancestor, I've named mine Ugg. Okay, it's got to be Ugg. It's just the best name ever. They had to see what was wrong rather than what was right, because what was wrong would kill them.
Yes.
Ug's out having a lovely day. Oh yeah, the flowers are lovely, brilliant, but maybe that saber-toothed tiger not so good. That other member of a tribe I don't know holding a spear towards me, not so good. So again, we had to, for survival, look out for what was wrong rather than look out what was right. So it's all that. So we've got all of that natural inclination to overthink is triggered and exacerbated by worries about the future, social
Mm.
interactions, criticism, self-doubt, information overload, negative self-talk. So we're pulling ourselves down as well. Comparison, as you know, comparison is a thief of joy. So I'm not doing so well as somebody else. Oh my God, I'm not losing the weight. FOMO, fear of missing out.
Mm.
Lack of control, again, back to we're living in more and more uncertain times when you think you're in charge, and that leads to uncertainty as well. And then possibly also traumatic past experience,
Yeah,
and good measure some of those brawls. So
yeah.
Linda, can you see it's really stacked up against
Mm.
us to
Mm.
not overthink? So I
Mm.
want to say this to people because I've nearly been an overthinker. Well, I'm not nearly. I have been an overthinker for nearly all of my life until I got a handle on all of this stuff some years back. Um, and, and you tend to think, oh, it must be me. But if you realize it's all stacked up against us anyway, then at least you don't feel you're a failure. You then go, it is what it is, but here's what we're going to do about it.
And what we're going to do about it is going back to those five pointers, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. But there's some extra ones if you'd like.
Right. Hang on then. So moving on. So yeah, one of the checklist points is about focusing on love and gratitude. That's right, isn't it? Was it? Yeah. Well, gratitude I've got down here, but love and gratitude.
Yeah.
So how do these positive emotions contribute to our well-being, and what practices can help to cultivate them?
Well, we've talked about gratitude, haven't we? I mean, it can be as simple as I bought a gratitude journal one year. There's loads of them. You can go on, any platform. I won't name the one beginning with A, but or any nice shop, or you can make your own, or there's printable ones or downloadable ones. And so, otherwise, like I say, you don't even need to write it down. Just every day, catch yourself when you're having your morning cuppa, and think about that gratitude. And also love is probably the highest resonating vibrational frequency. And we're going to talk about that, I know, in a minute, so I won't go into it now. But it's been proven that if you fill yourself with feelings of love, it actually creates lots of the well-being hormones within your body, endorphins, oxytocin, all the really great hormones in your body that come from sex and all sorts of very enjoyable experiences.
Mm.
They're the hormones that are the feel-good hormones, if you like, and they really raise your health and well-being, not just your mood, but actually physically, as a cellular being, they actually raise you. So just feeling love towards something, and it might just be your kitten, a flower, a robin, so I think both of those things are very, very.
Well, when I see my little granddaughter Jessie, who will be 4 on the 5th of February, she's an
Oh,
Aquarian like a grandma. When I
oh,
see her,
my sister as well.
she runs towards me and she jumps on me and she puts her arms around my neck and her legs around my waist and we say, "Oh, give me your best grandma hug." And there's no feeling like that in the world.
No, because and children are pure love. They really are.
Pure
They're pure love.
love.
They only stop being pure love when we sort of dent it. It's like a puppy is pure love, and it will come running up to you and wag its little tail and want to lick you. It's only if the puppy gets kicked and shouted at and scolded that it starts to hide behind the furniture, and
I know,
so
and I want to hold her and I want to protect her against, all the
yes,
things
okay.
that are out there.
Yes, and isn't she blessed that she has you? Because I know you'll do your best.
Right, okay then. So this is a good one. Looking forward to this one. So you mentioned the importance of eliminating low vibe actions like fear and jealousy while embracing high vibe actions like love and gratitude, I suppose. So can you share some practical strategies for achieving this balance in daily life? So the low vibe actions, fear, jealousy.
Yeah, I thought I'd printed something out. Hang on one sec, because I looked at that just before we came on, and I think I've actually printed. Oh, I have. Look at me, didn't doing my homework, Linda. Map of consciousness. So, basically we are vibrational beings, okay? So we vibrate at certain resonances, okay, and at certain fields. And so music is at certain resonances, and it's why they say play classical music or nice music when you have a baby in a womb, because actually, you know, there's certain resonances that are just much more relaxing. You know, I don't think very many pediatricians say that play trash metal really loud. You know, it's like, you know, they're very jarring, you know, resonances, and you know, you can feel yourself being angry. You know, if I'm in the car and something very kind of comes on, you start to drive fast, don't you? And you start to be road ragey, whereas I tend to listen now to Radio 3 and calming music. And when I'm driving, I'm very chilled, I'm very relaxed. And when somebody does something terrible, I just go, oh, there you go, having a really difficult life, bye, you know, instead of getting road rage.
Yes, yeah.
So, and also it's been proven, okay, there's loads of experiments. You can go online. There's a thing called the solfeggio scale, and
What
it's
scale, Ros?
solfeggio, Solfeggio. It's called the solfeggio scale, and they have created through studies, okay, you know, what are the vibrational tones that, you know, resonate. So they've worked out, you know, kind of what people, you know, as you know, hypnotherapy is based on taking people down into, you know, from the kind of alpha state down to kind of beta, tetra, gamma, you know, down to, that's what you do when you go to sleep. You go into a different vibrational level, okay? Science. So, you know, and there's a great guy, I don't know his name, but I think he's called something like Fuji, you know, the guy who did the water experiments.
Oh, Emoto.
Emoto, yes, Emoto. So again, he took water and he put different vibrational resonance through it at different levels, and then he took pictures of the water, and a bit like when you can see a snowflake and it's that beautiful
Right, yeah.
geometric pattern. The water that had the really high vibes, you know, the good, when I say high vibes, I mean good, you know, high as in highly nurturing, highly beneficial. It looks amazing. The structures are incredible. They're like,
It completely changes. Yeah, it completely changes. I mean, you can put a crystal, can't you, in your water jug, and it can change the vibration of the water. I remember when I went to the Viva May Clinic in Austria for the first time many years ago to do some training and to take the cure there as well. But all the water at the Viva May Clinic has been according to Emoto's, you know, principles, has been energized.
yes, at a certain
On a high vibrational level.
Absolutely. And if you think that we're like nearly 60% water as a human being, it wouldn't take a rocket scientist to work out that if that's what it does to actually pure water, what is it doing to us? And so we do vibrate at a different frequency depending on the emotions we're feeling. Now, it's a bit push me, pull you, because if you listen to a vibrational frequency, and you can ask, I won't say it because she's going to start doing it, but Alexa or any other device that you have, that one, if you say play a healing tone or and you can actually learn what, if you look at the solfeggio scale, it'll actually tell you what the numbers are. Like 432 is a really healing tone. You know, there are different frequencies. You can actually ask your player or just download some music, and you can actually listen to it and maybe even go to sleep listening to it. Will actually start to make your whole vibration be at that level. So that's the outside in, okay? The inside out is that when you are feeling very toxic emotions, when you are feeling, you know, really low vibe emotions, as we call them, you are bringing your frequency down. And unfortunately, when you bring your frequency down, you are opening yourself to all sorts of dis-ease.
Yes.
You and I know where that leads. So the frequencies, and that's what I.
Yes. So what's that, Ros? There.
This one I just got off, you know, the Tinterweb, Linda. This one called The Map of Consciousness by David R. Hawkins. And he's based it on a logarithmic, well, that sounds logarithms. I loved those at school, not
No.
scale. So he's obviously really mathematically and scientifically worked it out. But again, the solfeggio scale has it. And in fact, if you're into Eastern medicine, it's kind of very much in keeping with the chakras, okay? But
Yes.
here's an example. So what he's got is, so for example, enlightenment at the top is
Yes.
an energetic frequency of 700 to 1000. Now, I don't quite know what that means, as in how that works in your body, because this is obviously some sort of scientific, but the solfeggio scale will actually tell you what that means kind of within your body, how it's resonating. But the bottom line is, you can see that right from the top, the very high vibes. So the high vibes are enlightenment and peace. So, you know, you think about the Dalai Lama, or,
Yes.
you know, some real guru and yogi. Then joy, we're talking about happiness, love, reason, which he's put down as meaningful understanding. So I think that's more meaning. Acceptance, willingness, neutrality. That's interesting. Then courage, but we're going actually down at this point. Pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, shame. Sounds like the 7 deadly sins, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
all the low vibe things like anger and hatred and shame. So I think the 2 lowest resonating things are probably shame and guilt. And many of us have been brought up in religions
Yes, yes.
where they really get you to feel guilty all the time. And it's really not great for your health, okay? And I don't actually think it's very great for enlightenment, which is the one at the top of the scale. And personally, I don't think that a lot of the religious people have, you know, whenever Jesus, for example, I don't think he'd want us all to feel crap about ourselves.
No, of course it wouldn't. No.
He knows that to help other people, to be loving, to give love, to vibrate outwards, to resonate, to envelop your granddaughter in your arms and protect her with every inch of your life, you've got to be in a good place. Okay, so I think so that's about vibrating. So obviously you can consciously stop yourself from being in those low vibe emotions. So guilt, shame, let go of the guilt, let go of the shame. It's not serving you, you know, work on it, clear your ancestral ties. I mean, there's many people who do more woo-woo stuff than I do, but I'm very aware of all these things. Get rid of those limiting beliefs and those shame and guilt things that are holding you back. And you can do that through hypnotherapy or many other routes, and move more to the high vibes. Now, interestingly, on his scale, read it out, and this was my next point, even before I printed that out half an hour ago. Neutrality is the way to go. It's very difficult to go from negative to positive, okay? If you think about things in nature or anything, you really need to go negative, neutral, positive, okay?
Yes.
If you're in a very negative place, okay, I hate myself, I hate my life, I'm such a failure, I look at me in the mirror, I look terrible, I'm a blob and I hate everything about me. It's probably very difficult to say to you tomorrow, wake up and go, oh, I'm so beautiful and I love you. You know, like, there's probably going to
work that way. No.
be a part of you going, really? So go for neutrality, go via the station of neutrality. So go for, it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. I'm not having my best day. I'm not looking my best, but I'm still very kind to children and small animals. You know?
Yeah, and just think about, you know, from the 5-point plan, you know, gratitude. Yes,
100%. You know, and if I look at myself in the mirror now, and I used to have this voice in my head years ago going, oh my God, you're turning into your mother. And I don't mean that in any bad way. I just mean, you know, she was clearly old, you know, when the last time I saw her. And, you know, I just would go, no, I think you're tired. I think you're tired.
yes.
You can put that expensive face cream on today. And I think an early night would be really good, you know, and some fresh air today. And so I start being kind to myself, just like you be kind to your granddaughter. If your granddaughter was looking terrible and or had a rash or had a snotty nose, you're not going to say to her, oh my God, look at you, I can't believe you,
No,
I
no.
can't believe you look so terrible. You're going to go, sweetheart, I think you need a bit of TLC, sweetheart. I think you need a day off school and snuggle on the sofa with grandma. So
Yes,
treating yourself like that. Start treating yourself like that.
yes, yeah. Oh, thank you, Ros.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Right. So, oh yes, you shared a beautiful story about. Oh, did you? No, you
Oh,
didn't.
no, I shared it with you. I shared it with you, Linda.
So, tell everyone about the butterfly and the chrysalis then.
So one of the other things, a bit like overthinking, is over functioning. Okay. And again, on the whole, a lot of women are, very bad at this, really, as in, oh my God, if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. I've got to do the washing. I've got to get dinner ready. I'm not in Thursday night, so I'm going to make Jeffrey's supper. No, you know what? Jeffrey won't starve. He can do beans.
Jeffrey can make his own supper.
He can do beans on toast. It's like, so you become over functioning. I've got to do everything, and people do it at work, don't they? I can't delegate. Nobody does it like me. I've got to be the one staying there later and later and later, because if I don't do it, nobody else will, or they won't do it as well as I do.
Yeah.
And so two of the thieves of joy, along with, so one is overthinking, the other one is over functioning. Okay. And I've had so many clients who've come to me who are chronic overfunctioners. They run businesses, run big businesses, £1 million businesses. And we'll have conversations and they'll go, oh, well, of course I had to go when the alarm went off at 3:00 and I go, don't you have a night watchman for that? Or don't you have a deputy manager for that? Oh yeah, but they put in for their holiday and I couldn't say no. It's like, really? And they're not very good at boundaries or saying no. Okay, but that is one of the reasons why people overfunction. But it's just that everybody kind of feels it's all about me. So the beautiful story. Okay, so there's a man and he's walking through a forest and he sees a beautiful tree and he sees one of those giant butterflies, the kind you get in the tropics, but it's actually only in a chrysalis. And he can see this chrysalis hanging from the tree, and he's aware of what it is because that's his native country. But it's really moving and wiggling this chrysalis because the butterfly is in the last stages. He can see through the very thin membrane of the chrysalis that inside there is this butterfly really waiting or trying to.
Metamorphosizing.
Yes, thank you, Linda, for the correct word. Beautiful. Metamorphosizing. Thank you. O-level biology, was it? And so he watches it with fascination for a while, and then it starts to distress him because it actually looks very distressing. I suppose like if you were watching a human being born, and it can take a really long time, and it can be, quite distressing to watch after a while. And he can't bear it because this guy is an overfunctioner, and he can't bear the suffering that he's seeing with this chrysalis.
Yeah.
So he goes away and he comes back and he says to himself, if it's still not out when I get back, there's clearly something wrong with it and I'm going to help it, because that's what he do. He helps people. He brings back a pair of scissors. He snips the top of the chrysalis just a little bit. Out comes the butterfly. He starts to feel so much better about himself. Look what I've done. It's so much better. I couldn't bear it. And then the butterfly dries off and falls off the branch, and something gobbles it straight up in front of him. Because it's the last push out of the chrysalis, the metamorphosis, thank you, Linda, that actually allows the wings of a butterfly or a moth to actually extend and lock into that position. And without that last push, it doesn't happen. And so his absolute chronic need and desire to kind of help it and to overfunction and not let it do what it needed to do actually destroyed it. And as parents particularly, it's such a hard call. And we've both been there, Linda. I'm not in any way saying this is easy, but it's that thing between, oh, I'll just tie their shoelaces and do that thing, and let them do it. And actually you have to walk away from the struggle, because without the struggle, they're never going to learn.
Yes, yes. Although with Jessie, I've got to say, my granddaughter, she's extremely independent and wants to do everything by herself. So at almost 4 years of age, she's already over functioning.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, you'll have to save her from herself then, Linda. You're gonna have to tell her it's okay not to be perfect or not
Yes,
to
yes,
feel.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, okay. Yeah. So some actionable steps then, Ros, for someone who's struggling with overthinking and wants to start living a happier and more fulfilled life.
So shift from the negative to neutral, okay, rather than some, it's not really going to happen that I'm going to go straight to positive. So, if it is what it is the best that you can come up with, or que sera, sera, or I'm doing my best, and this too shall pass. Whatever is your little midway point to kind of letting it go and making it okay. Shifting to the neutral is really important.
Mhm.
Mindfulness, we've talked about. Routines are really important. I don't know if people have read that book, and I can't think who it's by. Now Make Your Bed. It's
I've
called
heard of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Now Make Your Bed, and and also Atomic Habits and all of those things. Routine gives you structure, okay, and routine stops you from the rumination and thinking about it. If you just do it and get on with it and have some structure and have some routine, you can get through a lot of things. So particularly if you're in an environment that's alien to your normal environment, a routine will actually be a lifesaver. I saw somebody the other day talking about being a world nomad, because there's a lot of people now who are world nomads. They don't have houses, they just live all
Yeah.
over the world. They run their business from Bali or wherever.
Yeah.
And the guy said that he nearly went mad in the first 3 months because, he was like, when am I doing the work? And I can't do the work and I'm on a different time frame and whatever. And he said that the thing he learned more than anything after 3 months was he needed a routine.
Mm.
Even though he was in all these tropical, amazing places, and I, having lived in the Bahamas for 5 years, I 100% know that. So
Mm.
I think a routine is really, it disrupts the time to have the negative thoughts.
There's a motivational speaker, an American motivational speaker, and I can't remember his name. I think he's an ex-Navy SEAL. Colin. Colin, our son, he watches him on YouTube. He's read his books as well, and he talks a lot about routine, well, in discipline, about being disciplined, and about making your own bed.
Exactly, that's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
I'm the same, and over Christmas I had my son and my stepson, and like both of them were like, and I went, making your bed. I kind of was met with a wall of silence, but and also I didn't go and make their beds for them, Linda,
No.
because it was like, well, okay, if that's how you want to treat your bedroom and that's how you want to be, then I am not doing it. My partner, I have to literally stop him from going in the room because it bugs him so much that he literally, because he is ex-military, he will literally go in and do it. But
Oh,
I'm like, no, okay. So so shift the negativity to neutral, routine, mindfulness we've talked about, finding meaning and purpose, again, back to the earlier
yeah.
points we did.
Yeah.
Practice acceptance, again, it is what it is, change what if into what is, because people will start ruminating, going, oh, what if that happens? And oh, what if I hadn't done that? And what if, okay, what if? What is really happening? What is the one thing I can do to influence this now? What is the one thing I can do to feel better? What is the one thing I can do to make myself wake up tomorrow feeling better? Or maybe it's an early night, a hot bath, being kind to myself and not sitting here worrying for 5 hours. So change what if to what
What
is.
is.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mantras and affirmations. So as you know, I'm a
Mhm.
hypnotherapist, and I do that with people all the time. But I don't think we're going to have time. But I can again provide you with a short 15-minute meditation. Very happy for everybody to get that. Gratitude.
Well, yeah, if you don't mind, Ros, because just so everyone knows that who's watching this video live or on catch up, we will be sending this video. Well, it will remain on social media. We'll be sending it out in a newsletter as well, so we can certainly attach that recording
Brilliant.
to
I'll do that for you.
send it out in the newsletter with the video.
Yeah. When are you planning to send your newsletter out?
Not for at least 7 days.
Oh, great. I'll do it for you for the beginning of next week then, Linda. Yeah, I promise that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So that will be full of mantras and also hypnotic suggestions. So lots of really great things. Gratitude, get support. So that's about the tribe. Sleep.
Ask for help. Ask for help.
Ask for help. Sleep. Just nurturing yourself. Sleep probably more than anything. If you can do nothing else, sleep. Okay, because without sleep, you're running on empty. And breathing. And so I did a breath work class at the weekend, and it was quite amazing because we just don't breathe enough. We don't breathe deeply enough. We don't breathe properly. But if you here's 2 super quick breathing exercises. They're going to take seconds to learn. So one is square breathing, which you probably know about already, where you breathe in for about the count of 3. You hold it for the count of 3. You breathe out for the count of 3. And you hold it, and you imagine you're drawing an imaginary square with your breath. Or the other one is just to take 3 deep breaths in through your nose, and imagine the first one goes in your tummy, the second one in your chest, and then the third one kind of here. So, and then breathe out over your bottom lip. And that, if you're feeling really agitated, say you're before a presentation or a meeting, you're in a difficult situation at work or at home, if you go in the toilet and do that for about a minute, it will really bring your parasympathetic system down and really help you. So I think they are really fantastic ways to stop overthinking. We've talked about stopping overthinking, overfunctioning. We've talked about gratitude, and we've talked about what happiness really means. So I hope that gives people some really practical ways to live happier, more fulfilled lives.
There's also a point, isn't there, between the eyebrows here, that point there, that emotional. I think it's an acupuncture.
Emotional freedom technique.
Tapping, yes, just tapping very gently.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
If you're feeling anxious, to help calm you down.
And also just putting your hands together and then just kind of, or essential oils as well. I did a workshop last year with Wendy Jackson, the homeopath, and she also is a real expert in essential oils. She, I think, uses doTERRA and all those oils.
I've been using essential oils since.
Yeah, exactly. So there's oils that calm you down.
Yeah, and my 2. Well, I have 3 absolute favourite oils. One is basil. One is clary sage.
Oh yeah, me too. I love that.
Yeah, I absolutely love those 2. And the other one is lavender.
I'm really into frankincense as well now.
Oh, that's quite a low note, isn't it? In aromatherapy.
I find it very grounding and very calm. I really like it. Yeah.
So I love having. When I had chronic fatigue and depression in the early 1990s, I would run a bath and I would put those oils in, and they just made me feel so much better.
Yeah.
Really, although they're quite all 3 of them, I think maybe not the lavender, maybe that's a middle note, but I think clary sage and basil are quite low notes. Anyway, moving on. How can we measure the progress on the path to a happier life, and why is it important to celebrate even small successes along the way?
Well, again, you'll measure the progress by how you're feeling. You'll measure the progress by how much, better life feels, that you're not looking through a glass darkly so much, that, suddenly it's like that experience, isn't it, Linda, that, 2 people can go to exactly the same place and they can come back and one will go, oh my God. I mean, if you go on TripAdvisor, here's a really good example. You go and look at a hotel and it's got, 100 5-star ratings and 18 1-star ratings. And so
this doesn't make sense.
It's almost like a hobby of mine. I like to click on the 1-star rating. And so
I do sometimes as well.
So everybody, also it's important because if I'm going to go to a hotel and the 1-star rating says my room was infested with cockroaches and we all nearly died of food poisoning, I'm going to maybe think I don't want to go to that hotel. But some of the 1-star ratings are almost hilarious. It's
I know.
literally like, I was by the pool and so the waiter did not warm my baby's bottle quick enough. It's like, seriously.
Yeah. You get a 1-star rating for that.
Yeah.
I know.
No, but also my mum used to have a saying, and she used to say, life must be really difficult for some people. And it's a bit like, you know, that's what you're looking for. I mean, there's a Bible story, and I've heard it told in different ways, but actually it does go back to the Bible. And it's Saul on the road to Damascus. That's where it originates. And it's Saul on the road to Damascus, and you know, there's a lot of background to it all, but Saul is going to Damascus. And as he's going, there's a family on a cart coming the other way, and they say, "Excuse me, sir, are you from the last town?" And I can't remember where he set off from on the way to Damascus. And he goes, "Yes." And they say, "Oh, we're being kind of forced to move there, and we wondered what it was like." And he goes, "Well, what did you find Damascus like?" And they were like, "Oh, it was great. We had really great neighbors. My children made friends. Everything was great. We had, you know, we loved it." And he said, "I'm happy to report you'll find, you know, the next place the same." And then another family stops him about half an hour later, asks him the same question. He asks them the same question, and they go, "Oh, we hated our neighbors and it was all terrible. And everybody tried to do me down." And he went, "I'm very sorry to tell you, you're going to find the next place the same." Now, whilst that isn't 100% true, because sometimes just bad fortune, you can have a bad neighbor, you know, things happen. On the whole, you find what you're looking for.
You do, yes.
And so one of the happier ways to have a happy life is just to look for what's the best in everything, and celebrating successes along the way, or just a little win, is a really great way of doing it. I worked at a training and development company some years ago called Go Mad Thinking. And one of their core management philosophies is they get people who come in going, "Oh, everything's wrong in my business." Blah, blah, blah. They go, "What's right? What went right today?" And they have to be accountable to them. They have to ring them at the end of every day and say 5 wins. They call them 5 wins. What were 5 wins today? Now, I'll be honest, I've heard people on the phone having a really bad time, and they'll go, "What was one of your wins?" "The coffee was nice."
Well, it's a win.
And maybe at first you're a little bit reluctant to see the good, because
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
the more you start to see the good, the more, like the picture of the 2 prisoners, the more you see the view and not the bars.
Yes.
So celebrate the successes.
Right. So building a supportive environment can be crucial for personal growth and happiness. So what advice do you have in terms of cultivation, relationships and surroundings that nurture well-being?
I think this might have to be a whole other webinar.
I know. Yeah, I know. We've gone over time, but
yeah, I think this could be maybe our next webinar, everybody. But well, clearly cultivating relationships, my number 1 tip was about shared values.
Well, yes, and finding your tribe, isn't it, as well?
Finding your tribe, and also knowing your worth and your values. So all of that lends to that very, very heavily. That is very, very important. And surroundings, again, you know, I make my home an oasis. I make my home a place where I play lovely music and I have lovely smells, and I don't have lots of clutter, because I know I don't like clutter. And it's not that I'm some sort of neat freak. I'm really not. It's just that when you have a lot of clutter, your mind gets drawn to it, and you're like thinking all the time. And so actually learning the art of tidying up and making my bed was a game changer for me. And so all of the surrounding just means that it nurtures me. I have a really comfortable bed, and then we added a mattress topper. I added a grounding sheet to it. I have my bedroom at a really cool temperature because I know I overheat otherwise. I go to sleep listening to frequency music on my Bluetooth headphones that actually gets me into a sleep pattern. So you can, in so many ways, even if you live in a 1-bedroom flat somewhere, make it a very nourishing and nurturing environment.
I love buying fresh flowers.
Oh, also true.
I love fresh flowers.
Also, we always have fresh flowers.
I'm not really into plants. I kill plants. I think I overwater them, but I love fresh cut flowers.
Yes, and they're beautiful. We do always. And you know, I have a friend who buys it's her treat to herself. And it's quite an extravagant treat, but you know, she's worked hard. She buys 50 white roses every week.
Wow.
50.
What? And puts them in the same vase?
No, she puts them all over her house.
Oh, wow.
I
Yes.
stayed with her in Australia, and it was really quite something. And
Well,
she
I
goes,
just bought a bunch of daffs today.
"Yeah, I've got tulips on my kitchen table."
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I actually love daffodils because they remind me of my mum because they were her favourite flower.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just winding things up a little bit then, Ross. So I just want to say to everyone, you know, as you can see, there's a wealth of information to take away from this video. And Ross and I, you know, we really hope that what we've talked about helps you as we go into this new year with a vision of embracing life fully and committed to a higher vibration and living in alignment with our values. Yes. So I think, Ross, yeah, I think you've put together a mini course. Is that right? On what we've spoken about?
I have, because I don't do lots of courses, Linda, and I do actually. I'm genuinely going to say this. I think I'm wasted not doing it because I think
you work on a one-to-one basis, don't
I
you?
work mostly on a one-to-one basis. I've done a couple of group courses that I did, and they were really successful, and people loved it. And I think the thing is, I do bring that mentoring wealth of experience.
Yes.
But I'm not a, you know, they say who made the most money in the American gold rush? The people who sold the shovels. And I've been very anti being a shovel seller. And so I've almost shied away from it too much. But people have constantly said to me, Ros, I'd love a course. So I thought actually, because it would be interesting for me, I've got a really successful 12-week course, but it's got a kind of a 3.5K price tag. That I would create a mini course, and I'm doing it across 3 weeks, but there will be an absolute wealth of information. There will be the 3 weeks we get together, but there will be workbooks and free books and recordings and me available. And so I just thought, for the right people, an affordable way to work with me rather than it be the big price ticket would be a 3-week course. So I've put together the Happiness Unleashed, Unveiling the Power of Positive Living. And it's going to start in spring, whenever that is. I think that's in March sometime, whatever the first day of spring is, because what better time to spring clean and go forward. And I'm only going to have 12 people. I don't like these big groups or anything. And yes, and it's really exclusively on offer to start with to your group, Linda.
So if people are interested in doing that course with you then, Ros, how do they find out about it?
Set a page up. We've set a, not me. I've had a page set up for me, Linda. Just a one page to give details. And at the bottom, they just click a button just to express their interest again. And it honestly, it's not going to be one of these things where I then go, and if you go now, not only will you get this, but you'll get that. And then you get 9 million emails. I don't do that, okay? So what you see is what you get. And, you know, it's actually a very good deal. It's less than the price probably of one of my sessions. And you're going to get 3 weeks and all the extra stuff, including free access to an online course I have that alone is worth, I think, about $149. So...
Well, what we'll do, Ros, we'll put a link to that information page where people can express an interest above this video. We'll probably do that tomorrow, and we will also include that in the newsletter that we send out.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I love your people that have it first. I mean, I then have a newsletter, but this won't go out on my newsletter for another week. So, and as it's only 12, then, you know, I'm hoping that 12 people listening might think it's just what they want to do.
Absolutely, because I just know that, you know, you're a great clinical hypnotherapist, rapid transformational therapist, but you just, you know, like I've said to you before, and to people that I meet, that, you know, you're a very wise woman. You know, you've lived a very full life, haven't you? And
I have.
And I think you bring all that wisdom, you know.
That's why the groups are good, because they're like, or if you use the very fashionable word at the moment, a container. Because when you have a container, you know, and everybody's in your container, it means we can do things like Q&A. It means we can just have half an hour, you know, or whatever, where people actually come along and go, well, actually, this is the thing that's really stopping me. What do you think?
Mm.
And I can actually be a bit more unscripted, if you like. I can just give the benefit of that. Yes, it is getting to a point, Linda, that extensive knowledge.
Well, Ros, I want to thank you so much for giving your time this evening. It's been fascinating. I've really been looking forward to this particular video, and I know there's so much more that you can share with us. So yeah, so maybe, you know, we need to be looking at doing a video on what did you say it needed?
Yeah, it was a couple of questions back, wasn't it?
A supportive environment, was it that one? Cultivating relationships and surrounding.
Yeah, I've got a lot on relationships because I did a whole load of training on relationships. So actually three of the weeks on my 12-week course are about relationship, and I called them, because I always, you know, my background in PR and marketing, so I call them the love boat. So that's you know, love, relationships, and how you are. The love boat, and what was the other one? Battleship boundaries, and I can't remember the third one. But so it's kind of like, you know, from bad to kind of under siege to kind of how you would love it to be.
Yes.
So yes, I did a lot, but I went away and I did a lot of training actually with the world's leading relationship experts. So I don't bill myself as being a relationship coach, but there's a lot I know about relationships, Linda, and having come through, you know, some not so good ones, some good ones that went bad, some not so good ones, and a really phenomenal one. I do feel I'm definitely walking my talk as well.
But I know that also, yes, you know, apart from that, you've invested an awful lot of time and money into your training, Ros.
I have. I have. And I just think, you know, it's just who I am, Linda. I mean, I'm very mercurial and curious and Socratic, and I want to know.
Yes.
But secondly, I just feel that if you're going to turn up and offer to guide people and help them and change their lives, you really need to know where you're coming from. And so I make sure I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Dinner is ready.
Thank you. Thank you.
Eat dinner. I'll just, you know, take one of our digestive enzymes before I have dinner. Right. Thank you so much, Ros, and thank you everyone for watching and listening. And I hope you enjoyed that. And bye bye for now.
Bye.